Hi guys, it's Stacey here and I'm bringing you a video today about utilizing Facebook ads correctly to generate more prospects and leads for your business. Now, I'm talking really to internet marketers and network marketers for this video. However, if you do have another product or service based business, then you can just tweak this system a little bit and make it work for you. So I'm going to cover quite a lot of information in this video. I'm going to cover everything from pixels to targeting and a few ninja tricks thrown in there. But what I would say is to take notes first of all, but also if you kind of are quite familiar with Facebook ads and I get to a section where you think, actually, I know enough about this, I can just skip ahead, please try not to, because there's going to be some golden nuggets in there and I wouldn't want you to miss out on anything and get the full benefit of this video and the strategies within it. So I'm going to start right at the beginning and we're going to go from there. So what are the three components of a successful Facebook ad? So first of all, you need to be showing the right ad to the right person at the right time. So those are the three components. So what does the right ad entail? So first of all, you have to have the right ad media. So that would be your photograph, video, article or slideshow. That would be the right copy and also the right offer. So the offer, generally speaking, if you are a network marketer, is probably going to be the same product and service over and over again. If you are somebody who has a product-based business or a different kind of service industry, then it may be that you could tweak the offer a little bit more and you've got a little bit more flexibility with that. So we're looking at ad media, photographs, videos, etc. Copy, which is things like your headline and exactly what your ad says, and also the actual offer itself. Once we have all of this right, we then need to find the right person to show this ad to, and this is your targeting, and probably the most difficult part of Facebook ads, and this is the part that most people seem to struggle with. So I'm going to show you some ninja targeting tricks and a way to get Facebook to actually do the targeting part for you. So I'm going to show you all of that during this video. And then lastly, if you've got a section 1 and section 2 absolutely perfect and that prospect still does not buy into your offer, it's probably that it's just not the right time for the buyer. So there's not a whole lot we can do about this. There are a couple of things we can do, which I'll talk you through later in the video. But generally speaking, it's just a case of having those people on the back burner in a retargeting campaign in the hopes that at some time it is the right offer for them and the right time for them to take that offer. So these are the things that we're going to be covering today and how to utilize these three components to get an ad that's working successfully for you. So let's make a start. So when you first come over to Facebook, if you come down the left hand side of your feed, you should have a section here that says Ad Manager. Now bear in mind that there are 7 different Facebook platforms, believe it or not, when it comes to the Ad Manager platform itself. So not everybody's Ad Manager is going to look exactly the same as mine, but you should be able to find your way around it from what is shown in this video. So if you click Ad Manager, it brings you up to this page. So this is an account that I don't actually use. So I'm going to use this to help you really get to grips with the Ads Manager and how to really utilize the power of Facebook ads, because they are probably the most powerful marketing method around today to your benefit. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the Facebook pixel, and this always seems to frighten people off. So you're probably wondering what the Facebook pixel is. Well, a pixel is just a tiny piece of code, and if you have a website or a landing page or something like that, you can actually put the pixel code into that website and landing page, and so that'll track all of the people that land on your page and also what they do on your page as well. However, if, like we're going to go through today, you're just using Facebook ads to get people to engage on Facebook, then you can actually turn on the pixel for each individual ad you create, and it will actually start and learn. And the more ads you run, the longer you run ads, the more it learns how many people respond to that ad, and it starts to learn exactly who's interested in your offer. And you'll find out why this is so powerful later on, but this is something you really must have in place if you're running any kind of Facebook ads. Do not attempt to run any Facebook ads without your pixel, because all you're doing is you're spending money and you're kind of wasting this data mining that you have access to. So it's really important that you get this going. So you're probably wondering where you find your pixel. So up here, we are in the Facebook Ads Manager, and if we come up here to this section here, this is called the hamburger, these 3 lines, and that's what they actually call it at the Facebook office. So if we just tap on that, and if you can't see pixels in here because you've never used it before, you can just come down to this All Tools section here, and that will open up the full menu for you. And under Measure and Report, you will see pixels. So we're just going to click on that. And what that will do is that will open up our pixel page for us. That's just going to take a second. So as you can see, once you get to this page, there is a big button that simply says Set Up Pixel. So we just tap that. And we're just going to give that a second to load up. And basically, if you are utilizing just on Facebook, then you don't need to worry about this section too much. However, if you were going to put it onto your website or landing page, you would click manually install the code yourself, and you would just copy the entire pixel code, click that, and you could then put that into the head tag on your website or your landing page. If you use platforms like ClickFunnels, it's really quite easy to do. But as today I'm going to show you a system directly on Facebook, then you probably don't need to do this part. And then you just click continue, and it's going to give you a little bit more information, which is extra bits of code that you can use actually on your website. Now we don't need this, so you can just leave that for now. However, if you do want to install it onto your website or landing page, then by all means go through some of these steps as well. But I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible for you guys. So we can just click done. And what that'll do is that will give us our pixel. So as you can see, it's now give us a pixel ID up here. So we now have a pixel in place for the ad account. So that's now done. We have our pixel working in the background, and so we can then start and use this in our ads. So the next thing is targeting. So basically we need to try and find out who on earth we are going to show our ad to begin with. And if you have things like an email list, then you can go ahead and create a lookalike audience from day one, which is perfect. And I'm going to show you how to do that later. However, if you don't have a lookalike audience and you're starting completely from scratch, then you've got to use other methods of targeting. So this includes things like audience insights, interests, and the ninja trick that I'm going to show you as well as targeting by things like demographics. So I'm going to show you interests, niches and demographics when we come to actually do the ad, but I'm going to show you now how to do a little ninja trick that's going to help you with your targeting, and also the audience insights tool as well, just to kind of take out a little bit of the guesswork. Now here's the thing. Using things like this ninja trick and audience insights is a great starting point. It allows us to get some ads out there and start and get some data on our pixel, and that's the most important thing. But chances are you're not going to get a huge amount of buyers from these first few ads, and the reason for that is because that's exactly what we're doing. We're doing a little bit of guesswork. We're hoping that our audience is interested in the things that we are looking at. Now, basically what we're going to do is we're going to feed the pixel, and that's what your first few ads are about. And the reason we do that is because once we've fed the pixel some data and we start to get people responding to our ads, Facebook will then take the people on those ads and match them with other people who have the same interests. So we let Facebook do our targeting for us based on the people who actually engage with our ads. So you can see how powerful that is. It takes all of the guesswork out and you're letting the pros do the targeting for you. So this is really, really powerful, guys. So let's start with audience insights. So this is one way that you can get some targeting for your first ad. So basically what we do is we come up here to the hamburger again, and we come down to all tools, and in among this you should see under plan a section that says audience insights. So we're just going to click on that. So we're going to select everyone on Facebook. And what this allows us to do is to dial down onto some of the demographics and the interests of people who would be interested in our product or service. So first thing that you're going to do is put in the country that you're targeting. So if you're in the States, you would put all United States, which is already in there. If you're in the United Kingdom, you would add that in there. So then we come down to age and gender. Now obviously some of your companies will have age restrictions. So obviously you would put that into there if that was the case. So obviously we want to make our ads as relevant as possible. So you can start and look at the age groups of people who would be interested in this product or service. So for IML, which is the network we're talking about today, obviously there's a minimum age to join the company of 18, so we would leave that as 18, and we would target all men and women. We would then come down here to the interest section and just start and put in some interests and see what we find. Now, the more interest we get in here, the more information we're going to be able to gather for it. So if we put Forex in there, and you can see it brings up quite a lot of information, and it starts to give us the demographics of people who are interested in these pages. So if I put some of these in there, I'm not going to put them all in there because that's just wasting time, but if I put 5 or 6 of them in there, and as you can see, there's quite a lot of them. So you can go through and get really creative on this section and find out exactly who's interested in these things. You know, add as many interests in as you can. So it may be that you're doing work from home opportunities, business opportunities, franchises, Forex, whatever it is that is your actual niche, then put as many interests as you can, because then we're going to get even more data to target. We then come down to the connections and the pages section. Now we can actually just ignore these because we don't want to include these in our insights. Then if we come down to the advanced section, you can actually select other items, behaviors, language, relationship status, all of that kind of thing. Now I tend to leave these blank because those are the demographics I'm wanting Facebook to give me. So I actually leave these blank, but they are useful when it comes to the actual ad, which we'll show you later, particularly the behaviors section. So now what we're going to look at is the demographics that the people who are interested in these topics and have engaged with these topics have. So if we come over here to the age and gender graph, what that's going to give us is information based on our interests here. So as you can see, there's quite a big percentage are in the 25 to 34 age range section. So we would make a note of this because it means that we're going to probably have more success if we're targeting people in this age range than say if we were targeting people in the 55 to 64 where you've only got a very small percentage in comparison. So really, if you look at the 25 to 34 and then probably these two sections as well, so you could target your ads between sort of 25 and 54. So you want to make a note of the majority on this graph. You also want to look at the male and female section. So as you can see on the 25 to 34, there's quite a lot more men interested than women. But as you kind of go up, it actually flips the other way, which is really quite interesting. So maybe that you do 2 different ads. It may be that you target women aged 35 to 54, but you target men on a different ad set between age 25 and 34. So you want to start and make a note of all these things. As we scroll down, it starts to give us a little bit of an idea about our lifestyle. So we don't need to take too much attention in this, but it is worth having a look through some of it as well. And as we scroll down, we also have the relationship status of the people who are interested in this. So you can see here that 45% of the people who are interested in the Forex interests we have put in are actually single. So it may be that we target single people. So make sure you make a note of some of these. And I'm not saying we're going to use them all, but it really does start and give us an idea of exactly what our target person is like in real life. So we're building up an idea of what our ideal customer is. Again, education level, note this down. Are they college, grad school, high school? Obviously there's a massive percentage here on college, so you would make a note of that as well. As you scroll down to job titles, interestingly, you've got a huge percentage here, 21%, in the production industry. So it may be that you do an ad that's actually based around the production industry and actually target those people directly. So make a note of the ones that have got really high results. 28% of the people interested in Forex are in sales. That's massive. You know, that means that you can make an ad that speaks to them. You can make an ad about leaving the sales industry to do something more worthwhile or to utilize their sales skills. So you can see how this would be really powerful in your targeting. So start and make a note of some of these demographics that we'll use. So we'll just write those down, and I'm making a note of these as well for when I come to do an ad with you later. And if we scroll back up to the top, we then have things like what pages do they like? So this is going to give us some categories and pages that these people are also interested in. So as you can see, we've got Forbes. Perfect. What a great targeting method. We target Forbes magazine, people who like Forbes magazine. In the education section, we've got My First Million Mentor Academy. All of these things are things that you can write down and target in your ads. So start and write some of these down. And I'm just making a note of a couple of them myself. And we're actually going to, in our first ad, do multi-level targeting, and I will show you all about that. Entrepreneur, Gary Vaynerchuk. So we've got quite a few different things that you could start and write down. I'm not going to make a note of them all to save time, but you should be making a note of quite a few of these. We then come up and look at location. So it starts to give you cities and towns where these people are. Now, as you can see, they all really 1s and 2%. You've got a 5% New York, which is very interesting, but generally speaking, it's all 1s and 2%. So you could just target the United States and that would be absolutely fine. Or you could do an ad specific to New York, because obviously there's a high percentage of people in New York that are interested in Forex. So as we come up and we go to activity, so really you can ignore the frequency of activity section, but what you can look at is the devices they're using. So as you can see, you've got 52% who are using mobile only and 46% that are using desktop and mobile, but only 2% of users interested in this niche are using only desktop. What does that tell you? That tells you that your ad needs to look really good on mobile and desktop. So you need to be able to show your ad on mobile and desktop. So that's really, really powerful as well. It even shows you kind of whether they're using Androids and iPhones. So you can target specifically to that. So you could do, one of the products we have in IML, for example, is the Swipe Trades app. So you could target people with iPhones and say, hey, get this app on your iPhone, because you know they've got an iPhone. Whereas if you said to somebody who was an Android user, hey, get this app on your iPhone, they would be switched off straight away. So we're using all of this data to build up a really, really specific picture of exactly what our user is and our perfect person, and we can then use that information to make our ads speak to them directly. So this is all really important, and you shouldn't kind of rush this part, you know, take the time to do it properly. As we come up, we go up to household, and what this is going to do is this is going to give you things like household income. It's going to give you whether they're owner or renter, household size. Again, all things that you can take a note of and utilize in your ads. So you can see here that the people with 50 to 75 is 9% more likely to be in a Forex group compared to other Facebook users. So what that tells you is that this income range is probably the target income range that you want to target when you are putting together your ad audience in the initial stages. So let's write that down too. Again, we've got a bigger percentage of homeowners, so you may target only people who are homeowners. But basically what you're doing is you're starting to get a real idea of who these people are. Let's have a look at purchases and see what they are spending on. So if we come down here, it tells you exactly what people are spending their money on. Now, interestingly, 72% of the selected audience are spending money on subscription services. That's fantastic, because that means that these people are already open to the idea of networks and subscriptions and that kind of thing. So it really does give you a much better picture of who exactly it is that you're trying to target. So that is the first step of doing your targeting, is use audience insights and start and jot down some of the really important factors, such as the demographic, education levels, what jobs were the best, what were their interests. You know, really start and get a picture and jot down some of these things, because we will be using some of these when it comes to our ad targeting. So that is stage one. Stage two is a little ninja trick that I am going to show you. So I'm going to show you that now. So to do the ninja targeting trick, basically what we're going to do is take one of the interests from the information that we've just gained. So one of them was Forbes magazine. So basically all we're going to do is search for Forbes magazine page on Facebook. And as you can see, we've got Forbes magazine page here. So we're just going to click on that. And once you're on that page, or the page of your interested party, what we're going to do is click on their profile picture. So we click up here, and what that does is it brings up a really long obscure link up here in the browser bar. And what we're going to do is we are going to take all of the numbers from the last dot to the / that follows it. So as you can see, there are other dots in here, but this is the last dot between the numbers, is this one here. And we are going to start there, and we're going to copy that section. So between the dot and the / we're going to click copy. And then what I've got is I've got a very special link over here, which I'll include below the video, as you can see. And what we're going to do is we're going to paste that number onto the end of that link, and then we're going to copy the whole link. So we'll copy that. I'll move this window back out of the way. And then we just paste our whole link into the browser bar as if we were going to a website. And we head on over there. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us all of the places that people who like Forbes also hang out. So it's given us a whole load of other things that we can target. So the people who liked our Forex pages in our audience insights also liked Forbes. They also like all of these things. These are the people that like Forbes. So it gives us even more things to target. So you can start and make a note of some of these. So let's make a note of entrepreneur, fortune, the economist. And interestingly, what you'll find is that because you network with people who are in your own niche, what you'll find is that a lot of your friends actually like a lot of these pages, and that just gives you even more clarification that these are the pages that are worth targeting in your ads. So spend some time going through the Ninja Targeting Trick and Audience Insights, and that'll start and give you a build-up of a picture ready to place your first ad. So we are now ready to start our first ad. Exciting. Well done, guys. So you've gone through pixels and you've gone through the first section of targeting. So let's look at an ad. So if we come over here to Audience Insights again, and we come back up to our hamburger, and as you can see, we've got Ads Manager, Power Editor, Business Settings. You know, it gives us loads of options here. Now, Power Editor is basically it's a very in-depth version of Facebook Ads Manager, and it can only be used on Chrome, and I do like to use it sometimes, but actually if you're more comfortable in Ads Manager, then feel free to stay in there. So let's create our ad. So we go up to create ad, and we're going to use the create ad tool. So because this is a new account, it's just loading all of this up. I've never used this account before, hence the reason that it's taken a little bit of time to do this. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is to select a marketing objective. Now, let me tell you something, and I was actually taught Facebook ads by somebody who works at Facebook, and what she said was that whatever you choose is what you're going to get. So basically, don't expect to do a video view campaign and get loads of people commenting, because you are optimizing for video views. You are not optimizing for people to comment. So it's really important that you choose the correct marketing objective when it comes to starting your Facebook ad. So brand awareness and reach are basically for if you just want to get your brand name out there. So you can use those for that. If you are sending traffic to another website, so if you're sending people off the page, you would probably go for the traffic objective. Engagement is a one that we will use quite a bit in the network marketing niche. And the reason for that is because a lot of the time ads contain their comment yes in the comments, and that is classed as engagement. So probably most of you who are in the network marketing niche will be using the engagement ad. You then got app installs, which is probably irrelevant for you, but if you are trying to drive people to download an app, then that would be what you would go for. So video views is exactly what it says on the tin, and this is another one that we would potentially use, particularly in the early stages, and I'll explain why in a moment. But video views are great because they are very cheap. Particularly in comparison to engagement ads or other kind of ads, especially traffic. When you're paying per click, that's very expensive, generally speaking. So basically with video views, this is another one that you could potentially use as a network marketer. And the reason for that is because in the early days, we're not actually putting an ad up to try and get leads. As stupid as that sounds, we may get some leads as a byproduct, but actually what we're doing is just feeding the pixel in those early days so that we can then let Facebook do the targeting for us at the later stages. So it may be that you go for an engagement one and you have a video that says comment yes underneath for more information, and that's what you are engaging for. But it may be that you kind of think a little bit smarter than that and think, well, hang on, I know that I'm just kind of feeding the pixel at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a video up and I'm going to optimize my ad for video views. And then what you can then do at a later stage is actually create an audience from the people who watched more than 25% or 50% of your video. So you can see how powerful that is. It means that we can then only retarget the people who are genuinely interested, and furthermore use that audience as a seed audience to grow a bigger audience. So it may be that you go for video views because it's cheaper and it's a cheaper way to feed the pixel and for you to get more specific data. You've then got lead generation ads. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Facebook's lead generation system. This is where people can put their name and email address directly into Facebook. I'm not a huge fan of it, but there are people that have some success with it. So you could play around with that if you wanted to. Messages is a new thing. They've only just recently launched that, so I haven't got a great deal of experience with it. But Facebook have a messaging system and you can utilize that within your ads. You've then got conversions. This is when you are actually looking for people to buy something, and so you can put a conversion code on and track conversions and optimize your ad for conversions. And again, with catalog sales and store visits, exactly what they say on the tin. So basically, the two that I'm going to cover most today are the engagement and the video views. And we're going to actually do it through the video view ad. And I'll show you a little bit about how we go through this process. Now, the reason I'm going to build a video view ad today is because, like I say, if you are kind of just feeding your pixel, this would be my preference for your starting point. So my preference would be that you created 4 or 5 different video view ads that you run for at least 5 to 7 days. And all of those are targeted to a different niche. So you may have one that is, like I say, the 25 to 34-year-old male gender, and then the 2 older ages that we mentioned for a female gender, and you kind of make the video gender specific, so you kind of speak to the people directly. And we'll go over more about copy and everything shortly. So these 2 processes, the video views and the engagement ads, are going to be quite similar, but if you are just in the beginning stages and feeding the pixel, I would use video views, mainly because it's cheaper and we're basically feeding the pixel with the data it needs to be able to do our targeting for us at a later date. However, you can use an engagement ad as well, and I will talk you through both as we go through. So if we go to the video views section, and you can name your campaign, and I'm just going to leave it as video views, but you should name it as something that's going to be easy for you to remember. And we click next. As you can see, it brings us to the ad set section. So this is audience, placements, and budget and schedule. So you can name your ad set, and you can just name it something again that's easy to remember in case you need to pull it up at a later date. And once this is loaded, we can scroll down a little bit. And from there, you can put in your location. So your location is United States, or if you were doing the ads that we discussed previously from the audience insights, you may choose to take out United States and add New York in and make your ad New York specific. So if you were making your ad New York specific, in your ad, you would talk about that. You'd talk about the fact that these people are from New York. So you could say, hey, fellow New Yorkers, you know, and you can see how that starts to directly speak to people. And that's what it's all about. The ad copy side is very much being able to make your ads speak to the person that you want to buy into your organization and what it is you have to offer. So that's where you set your location. As we come down, you've got your age, and again, we looked at the age demographics from the people who were in our audience insights, so we know exactly what to set that to based on our notes. So we know that 25 to 34 was the optimum age for the Forex trading offer. Based on the small amount of research we did. You do need to go back and do your own, don't just take mine, because I literally added 4 or 5 interests in there, so make sure you do go back and do your own. Languages. Now our video is obviously going to be in English, and so not everybody does this, but one thing I do like to do is make sure that I am only targeting people who speak English. Okay, as we come down, as you can see, what it's done is it's actually moved over some of our interests from the audience insights that we did earlier. So you can delete these out or you can add extra in. So this is where you would add in all of the information that we gained before. So we had Forbes magazine. We had entrepreneur. There it is, the magazine. We had The Economist. Now I'm not going to go through too many of these because you can see how long this would start and take. But you can see how we are now starting to build up a really good size audience. And you can see how you've got a potential reach over here of specific, broad, and then kind of this middle section. And what I would say is try and keep it within the green if you can. So keep adding things until you're kind of right at the top of the green, but you're still within the green section. Leave the connections separate. Okay, so another thing you can do is actually exclude people or narrow your audience. So if you've got a company that you want to exclude people who are already members of, so for example, we're involved with iMarkets Live. If you wanted to exclude those people, you could click exclude people and search for your company in the box so that you're not already tagging people who are already members, because that would be a waste of money. Who wants to do that? So it's important that you do that as well. Now, I don't think iMarkets Live is actually available in that list, and your company may not be. And that's absolutely fine, but it's worth a try. So we come down, we ignore the connections section, and once you've done that, you can actually click save this audience. So when you click save this audience, it will bring up an option for you to name this audience, which means that if this audience is successful for you for your ad, you can then just use it in the future without having to put all of this in again. So that's really good as well. So you just need to remember what you've called it. You do tend to end up with kind of audiences called all sorts, so just bear that in mind. And once you have these saved audiences, basically, rather than fill all this information in, it would come up in this list here at the top. So you can literally just add your custom audience in there, and we will be using that later as well. So as we come down, we've then come down to automatic and edit placements. So from here, what I like to do is I like to go edit placements, and I like to take off certain things. So for example, the right column never seems to work for me at all. Now, it's not allowing us to put a video in the right column anyway, so that's fine. But if this was an engagement ad, then it would allow you to select right column. And the right column is, it almost screams ad to people, and it kind of turns them off a bit. Whereas if it's in your news feed, it looks a little bit more like a post that would have come from somebody's Facebook page. So it's always about kind of making your ad look as organic as possible. So making it look like something that you would actually post on your page is going to work a lot better for you than something that is an ad, that looks like an ad, that's trying to sell something. People aren't interested in being sold to. They are interested in services that are going to help them, but that are recommendations almost from a friend. So you've got to almost come across like a friend or somebody that they can relate to. One thing I will quickly say before I move on from this section is that if you are naff on video, you need to admit that to yourself, and sometimes our ego won't let us do that. But if you're not good on video, then choose an image ad, because it's going to be more detrimental to you to use a video that is a bit naff and doesn't work. It's going to cost you more, and it's going to really kind of give you a lack of confidence in your own abilities. So if you are not great on video, then think about using a image ad, which do work as well if you do them correctly, and I'll talk a little bit more about copy when we get to that stage. So you've got instant articles. I turn those off. I leave my feeds on. I leave in-stream videos on. That's fine. Instagram, this is one you need to play around with because it works fantastically for some niches and not for others. So test it with and test it without and see whether or not you get any results from that. As we come down, I tend to turn off no audience network as well. I don't find that they are beneficial for the price because they can be quite expensive. So as we scroll down and we come down to specific mobile devices and operating systems, again, you can utilize the information that we got from the audience insights. So when it talked about people who had iPhone or Android, you can use those if you're going to use that in your ad. So if your ad's going to say, get this app on your iPhone, the Swipe Trades app on your iPhone, then you may decide just to target people who have iOS devices only. So you can see how that works if you're going down that route. What I would say is do select this box, this only when connected to Wi-Fi, and this comes back to the right time part. Now, obviously, it may not be a right time in somebody's life to join a new network market or a new business opportunity, but they are more likely to sit and listen to what you've got to say if they are at home or in their office where they're comfortable, they're connected to Wi-Fi, as to if they were in the queue at Asda or Walmart, if you're listening from the States, and they are kind of just going through on their 4G on Facebook and come across your ad. They're not going to be in a position to take in any information you give them at that point. So make sure that you select the only when connected to Wi-Fi section. As we come down, you've got the option to select your daily budget. Now, because we are in the testing stages, or the feed in the pixel stages as I like to call it, we want to go as low as possible. So I would tend to go for the minimum of £5 a day, which has come up 25. £5 a day. And what we're going to do is we're going to run a few different ad sets. So we may choose one that is kind of the general work from home niche. We may choose one with all the audience insights we got, and we're going to run 3 or 4 different ads and run them for at least 5 to 7 days each. Now, here is something that is really, really important. When we come to set a start and end date, we select that. And it's really, really important that you do this and don't just run your ad continuously. And this was something that I was taught by a lady who works for Facebook. She's one of Facebook's ad account managers. She knows her stuff. And basically what she said is that if you run your ad set continuously, you are telling the Facebook algorithm that it has as much time as it likes to make your ad work properly. So what she said is that you should always set an end date for around about 2 to 4 weeks from when you start. Now, as it happens, for these particular ads, we're only going to run them for a week, 5 to 7 days, for the reason that we are feeding the pixel. So we're not expecting these first set of ads to be successful. And I know that sounds pessimistic because some people do get sign-ups for them. But what people don't realise is they run their first set of ads and quite often give up saying, they don't work. But actually all they were doing at that time was feeding the pixel. So it's important to allow our pixel to learn from our first set of ads, which is why we go for the cheapest way possible, video views, and, you know, work with what we've got. So we're going to set this from 7 days from today for our first ad, which is going to be, it's the 12th today. So that would be the 19th. And, oh my God, it's scarily getting towards Christmas. So we're going to set that for a week from today. And then when it comes to actually running an official ad, we would run it for no more than 4 weeks at a time, because then we're telling the algorithm, right, you need to get on with it. You've only got 4 weeks to impress this person so they spend more money with us. So make sure that you do that, and it's really important. So as we scroll down, I like to leave my bid amount to automatic. And the reason for that is because Facebook know what they're doing. So they will kind of work out your bids and get you the video views that you want. And as we scroll down, you're going to get charged for impressions. That's absolutely fine. You've got ad scheduling, so you can run ads all the time or run ads on a schedule. So you can actually, on some kind of ads, and it's not actually letting us do it on this particular kind of ad, but you can actually set your ad to show between certain times of the day if you want to. So if you're targeting somebody who works in sales, for example, which was one of our main career paths within our audience insights, it may be that you set your ads only to show outside of working hours. So we're really thinking about this person that we're building up a picture of and really thinking about what's best for them. So what is the ideal time for them? What times would they be at home? Things like what are their interests, you know, and really kind of start and work around that as well. One thing I did forget to mention in the ad set section when we were doing our interests, our detailed targeting, this is also where you put your demographics in. So when we talked about how much people were earning, that actually goes into here. So if I put income, And you can see this is where your list of incomes are. So we would just find the one that we found in the audience insights and use that. So scrolling back down, we can now click continue and go on to the actual ad section. So you've got two options here. You can use an existing post. So if you've got a post on your Facebook page that you want to use as your ad, you can absolutely do that. But I would always suggest creating a new ad ideally. So as we scroll down, it asks you which page you want to work from, which is fine. And as we come down, we've got an option of a single video or a slideshow. Now, a slideshow is a way for you to use a video when you're not very good on video. So there's a lot of people who don't have charisma on video and they're not very easily relatable to. If that is you, and I know it can be difficult to sort of admit that, then in which case what I would do is I would pick 10 images and create a slideshow from them. So basically all you would do is click slideshow. It gives you an option to upload all your images, and you can add music and things into the background as well. So it almost becomes a video and you're still getting that kind of video view, but without the kind of you speaking on. So you're still getting that effect of the video without you having to personally be on camera. What I would say is it's not quite as effective because you're not talking to your audience as such. So what you could do on that is have slides where you have some text on. So if you were talking to kind of the sales guy who has some college information but is interested in Forex, you could start with a slide that says sick of sales. And straight away people would be like, hang on a minute, how do they know that I am in the sales field? Yeah, because we're targeting them based on our audience insights. So you then targeting somebody who's interested in Forex, who's also in sales, with an ad that says, hey, are you sick of sales? Join our Forex team. So you can understand how powerful this would be. However, ideally what you want to do is to upload a video, and you would then talk about all this stuff direct to the camera. And what's even better is that if you can relate your own story, and I know some members of our group actually do this really, really well. If you can relate your own story, then that's going to be even better because people are going to warm to you even more. So for example, I know one of our team members, and I won't mention her name, but she's fabulous, has been running an ad based around stay-at-home mums, and she was talking about her own experience of how when she left work and it was a big hit to her ego, every stay-at-home mum is going to really resonate with that. So she may use the audience insights to look for people who are stay-at-home mums but want to create extra income. So there's quite a lot of ways that you can use this system. So then we scroll down, we add in our video, and then as we come down here, we can add some text in here. So I just delete that out. So your video would come up here, or your image if you're just running an image ad on the engagement section. Now, what I would say is whether you're using a video or you are using an engagement ad, you still want to have quite a bit of text in there. One, it looks more like a real Facebook post. This is what you want. You don't want your ads to look like ads, so it's going to look more like a real Facebook post if you've got quite a bit of text and information in there. But two, on top of that, it gives the people who just do that scrolly thing with no sound on, it gives them a chance to see basically what you are doing and what you're all about. So what you can do is you can start and write your text in here, and I'm going to talk briefly about copy. So the first thing you want is a headline that's going to really, really appeal to the person that you're targeting. So let's go with this kind of sales guy who's interested in Forex. He makes 50k a year, so he has got some disposable income, and you really need to think in depth about what it is that person would stop in their tracks to see. So you can use shocking headlines. That's one method. So it could be something, I've seen people use swear words in headlines, and quite often they don't get approved unless they've kind of like starred them out. But I've had people who've used swear words in headlines and had great response with that. You can go for the shock factor. You can go for the specifics factor. So this would be a case of New York based and in sales, you know, so you can really sort of dial in on that target, and you can target somebody who's in sales, interested in Forex and lives in New York, and you can incorporate all of that into a headline that would make them think, whoa, I need to read this. So you really want to make your headline speak to that person. So you're going to put your headline in first, and that's exactly what you do. So we're going to go with sick of sales and living in New York. Yep, that was me. So you can see what I've done there is I've really got in on the specific factor, but I've also related to them as well with a little bit of my story. Now, obviously that isn't my specific story. I'm making this up as I go along, and I don't suggest that you do that, but if you can relate your own story to it, even better. You can then go on in your ad copy to start and talk a little bit about exactly what your story is. What do you have to offer them that is going to solve their problems? And this is the biggest key. People aren't interested in the products that we have to offer. They aren't interested in, oh, an app that I can copy and paste of. They are interested in the money that they can make from the app. So you really need to get your head around this new mindset that it's not the actual products they're interested in, it's the results of the product. So what is it going to give them? So they want more time freedom, they want more money, they want to be able to quit that job where they have to sit in traffic for hours on end every day because they're going to sales calls. So this is all the kind of thing that you can talk about in your ad text. And you know, you probably are going to have to test a few ads in order to find the perfect one. The fact of the matter is that copywriting is a skill that takes a little bit time to learn, and you know, you're not going to get it right straight away, and you're going to get better with practice. So that make sure that you kind of spend some time talking about it. And I'll go back to the example of the stay-at-home mums. If you were doing a stay-at-home mums ad, you could write your whole story in here, how you kind of left work to look after your kids because it was more financially viable, but it gave you a huge hit to your confidence. You know, you can talk about your whole story in the text, relate to the person, but make sure you shock them in that headline. You would then put call to actions throughout. Now, your call to action is really important because a lot of people actually miss this out, and it's one of the fundamental parts. So if we put copy, 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 3 lines of copy, and then, which that doesn't say copy at all, that says cop, cop, copy. So we've got 3 lines of copy. So that's part of our story, part of our stay-at-home story, or how we were sick of sitting in the queues as a sales rep. Call to action. To action, copy, and then we go back to some of the story. Now the reason we do this is because we don't want people to miss our call to action, so we put it a few places throughout the thing. Now here's the thing, is that our call to action can be something along the lines of drop a yes in the comments for more information. It could be along the lines of visit this link for more information, and you send them to a landing page. Your landing page also has your pixel in, doesn't it? So there's a few things you can do there. So I tend to use, if I'm staying on Facebook, I tend to use drop a yes in the comments for more information, and then you could from there send them the link to a Facebook group for them to check out more information. You could send them to a website. If they do that, then you can engage with them on Facebook. And I do use a tool called ManyChat, which means that if they actually do comment on yes, ManyChat will automatically send them a message on my behalf and start and go through the sales process for me. Now, I'm not going to go over that video today because it's just going to take far too long to show you that. But basically, if you're interested in ManyChat, all it does is it automates the process of the follow-up sequence. But it does it directly on Facebook rather than via email. So basically, if somebody comments yes, it will automatically message them and it will say, do you want more information? They can click a yes or a no button. If they click yes, it'll start and feed them some of the information they want. And then if they've got questions, it can do things like schedule a call in with you and that kind of thing. So it's really useful to just automate some of the process a little bit more. So as we scroll down, basically you come down to this conversion tracker here. So remember, we are feeding our pixel. So we want all of these selected. We are feeding our pixel. Make sure all the pixel options are set. We can then just click confirm, and that will start and track our ads. So that ad will then go in to approval. Depending on how new your ad account is and how many ads you ran before, it can take a little while to be approved. There are a few provisos. If your images have too much text in them, they could get disapproved, or if they don't get disapproved, what sometimes happens is they'll actually approve the ad and then they will limit its reach. So it's really important that you try and keep your ad text as minimal as possible in the actual image itself if you're using sort of this slideshow option or an image option as well. You also need to be careful of making any substantiatory claims. So you can't say, right, you're going to make this amount of money. But what you can say is, I made this amount of money. So there's kind of a fine line there. So be careful of that, both in your videos and especially your text, because it tends to get picked more up in the ad text itself. Whereas in videos, you can get away with a little bit more. So you need to be careful of that. You can't talk about anything illegal or promote any sort of illegal substances or that kind of thing. So you need to be wary of that as well. So with that in mind, that is your first ad setup. So basically, we would run a few of these ads for a few days and feed our pixel some information. So then I talked about how we would get Facebook to start and do our targeting for us. So we now have a couple of video ads running, and Facebook is tracking who's watching them, how long they're watching them for. So basically what happens from there is we come up to the hamburger, go to all tools, and if we come over to audiences, which should be in here somewhere. There it is, audiences. Now, what we're going to do is from here, we're going to create an audience based on people who viewed more than a percentage or a time in our video. And what it means is, it means that people who've watched X amount of our video are people that are actually genuinely interested enough to stay and watch some of the video, because many people will view a certain part of an ad and then just click off, or they'll watch the first couple of seconds and then they'll go away. And those aren't the people that we have any interest in. They don't have enough of an interest to watch our video, so they're not going to have enough of our interest to join up with us. So what we're going to do is we are going to create a custom audience. So we click on create a custom audience, and we do that based on engagement. So we click engagement, we click on video because that's what we're doing it based on. So from here, we can now choose what we want them to do. So we go here and we click people who've watched at least 25% of your video. Now this does vary based on how long your video is. So if you've got quite a short video, 25% is enough. If you've got quite a long video, you may want to up that a bit, but I tend to go for the 25% section. You then would click on the choose videos and click that, and you'll be able to select your video that was used within the ad. We can then name this audience and add a description. So we would do that and we would click create audience. So we now have a seed audience. And what a seed audience is it's people who are interested in our product or service that we can then retarget with an even more specific offer. So we can now create an ad with that custom audience just in the audience section that I showed you before, and we can speak to those people. So we can say, hey, I noticed you watched some of my Forex video, would you like to know more, and demonstrate one of the products. Or so you can see how that would be like really powerful. You can start and really speak to people in there. But what also we can do with this seed audience, which is where it gets really, really exciting, is if we come down here to create lookalike audience and tap that, we can then choose the audience we've just created, the people to our video, and put them in here as a source. We can put a location to target, so that would be United States again. And then we can click create audience, and what that'll do is that will use Facebook's pixel data, not just from our pixel, but from everybody's pixel, to find people who are interested in the same things as the people who watched our video. So we are now letting Facebook do our targeting for us. So you can see how amazing this is. Basically, if you think about the internet, pretty much every website on the web has the Facebook pixel in it, because most people use Facebook marketing in one way or another. So that means Facebook have more data than almost anyone. They know what websites we visit. They know what we do on websites. They know how long we stay there. So this means that based on our custom audience, Facebook can then match other people to the people on our custom audience, and they doing our targeting for us. So when we have enough data to create this initial custom audience, from then on Facebook will do our lookalike audience for us. And from that point on, we can create the original ad again, but instead of putting interests in, we put this lookalike audience in. Guess what happens then? From that ad, we then create a new custom audience and create a custom audience based on the people who've watched 25% of that video. We then use that custom audience to create another lookalike audience, and so on and so on. It makes our targeting, one, loads easier, but two, unlimited. We don't run out of ideas. Facebook are doing the targeting for us based on matches, and this is artificial intelligence at its best. So this is what you need to be doing to make your ads more powerful. Custom audiences are for two reasons, and I want you to write these down. One, you retarget them time and time again with the ads until you know that it's the right time for them to buy. You know, we talked about the right ad to the right person at the right time. It may be that the first time these people saw the ad, they watched the video, they showed an interest, but it wasn't the right time for them to bite. So we keep showing them ads related to it until it is the right time for them to bite, so we can make sure that we catch them at the right time. So custom audiences are used for that, where they're used for retargeting. Retargeting is also cheaper than your first ad. The custom audience is then also used for a second purpose, to create lookalike audiences. That's doing our targeting for us. So basically, we're doing the first set of ads in order to get one of these custom audiences. The custom audiences from then create lookalike audience. The lookalike audience then creates the custom audience again, and so on and so on. There's only one proviso that I just want to briefly talk about, is that you do have to have a minimum number of people on your custom audience in order to create a lookalike audience from it. So if you run your ads for so many days and you don't get many people on your custom audience list, you may want to run it a little bit longer, feed the pixel some more until you've got enough people to create your lookalike audience. So guys, I'm going to leave it with that for today, because I know that I've covered a ridiculous amount of information there. I'm starting to get a sore throat because I've spoken so long. So any questions, please do reach out to me. I will post this in our little Facebook group, and you know, have a go. You know, I know that it seems probably quite complicated right now, but these are some techniques that not many people know or utilize correctly, and so it is a very, very powerful thing for you to have at your disposal. So guys, I shall leave you with that, and I shall speak to you soon.